F-15E. They Navy SEALs, I've heard, and Army Rangers and Green Beret and so forth were looking for the pilot and found the pilot and brought him back. Now, the F-15E was brought down by man pads, basically shoulder-fired weapon. So they, look, they're heat seeker missiles. I think they come from Russia. I'm not sure, but I think we're going to find out. So they brought down a Warthog A-10, who was probably firing upon the people with the man pads, and he got hit, and so he went out to sea. I don't know if he ditched his aircraft at sea, stud dog, but he ejected, and they got him in the water. So he was able to get out to the Straits of Hormuz, but the weapons officer, the rear seater in the F-15E, is still missing. So this is something that we've seen before in the past. There was a Navy SEAL that actually got a Medal of Honor for going in, and Tom Norton, Lieutenant Tom Norton, who dressed up as a Vietnamese fisherman. So he had the sampan hat on, and he had the big hat, and then he had a sampan, which is basically a little wooden boat that they had to fish. So he went in and got the pilot, the down pilot. There were two of them. He was part of getting one of those pilots, and then he went back on his own by himself and got the other pilot. Crazy story. I'm going to play it here in a second. And then he was rescued. Tom Thornton was rescued, Mike Norris, and then Mike Thornton rescued him in another mission where they were both in a combat for several hours, whatever. And Tom Norris was injured. Everybody thought, the Vietnamese that he was with thought he was dead because he got a brain injury, tore up part of his skull. And Mike Thornton went back and killed, as he's running to go rescue him, he's killing the enemy and puts him on his back. He carries him out because they're going to go out to sea and get picked up at sea. So they're under fire. And there was a cruiser offshore that gave them supporting fire because the destroyer that was offshore had been hit, so he couldn't help them. So that's why we're there for a couple hours, fighting the enemy. So this cruiser, which is bigger than a destroyer, but just below a battleship, blasted shells out, and it threw Mike Thornton up into the air. Right, so he recovered from that, and then got Tom Norris and inflated his life jacket, and another injured South Vietnamese soldier, and towed both of them out to sea. And the destroyer that finally came in thought they were all dead, so they were not really doing anything. So they were just off the coast. So he took Tom Norris's AK-47 and fired it in the air. They heard it, and they came and rescued them. So crazy story. I'm gonna bring both those up. There's a little bit of documentary on that. But what we're seeing right now is, I think, the lead up to boots on the ground. And I'll talk about if we look at past history where we went in and liberated Kuwait, it only took us 100 days of ground operations to liberate Kuwait from the Iraqis. And then it was only 26 days, I believe, for us to take all of Iraq, right? And this, of course, is after lots of aircraft bombings and so forth. So this ground operation, I believe, when it does come, will be fairly over soon, right? So if we just look at history, maybe we'll, because none of NATO is helping us, maybe we'll just take all the bases that are in NATO and transfer all those guys to Saudi Arabia or something, and then just using them to go in and kick ass, and then just go home and deoccupy those NATO bases, because I think that's what's going to happen anyway at some point. But that's my thoughts on that. But let's look at one of these heroes from the past, and who knows, maybe we'll see another Medal of Honor by a Navy SEAL or whoever, whatever group picks this up is great for me. All right, so let's watch pretty substantial, history with Navy SEAL teams, obviously. So will we see something like that again? War always has heroes, so it remains to be seen. Now, the other one I want to talk about is Michael Thornton, and I remember sitting down with Michael Thornton with a couple of other SEALs when I was still in the SEAL team. Later in his career, he became an officer. He was enlisted and then eventually became an officer. So we sat down with him. He told us details about the rescue, and it was like, wow. So he definitely deserved the Medal of Honor. So pretty cool stories. Let's listen to a little bit of this. Now, this is the first and I think maybe only time that a Medal of Honor recipient got it for also rescuing a Medal of Honor winner. So very, very interesting story with these guys.
During a covert mission in enemy territory, one Navy SEAL made a decision that could cost him everything or save a life. On October 31st, 1972 in Vietnam, U.S. Navy SEAL Michael Thornton, then a petty officer.
So he's got a Stoner machine gun. I would carry the, it's a big guy, So I carried the M60 7.62, big rounds.
Served as an assistant advisor alongside Lieutenant Thomas Norris, the senior advisor to a three-man Vietnamese patrol. Together, they accompanied that patrol on a high-risk intelligence gathering and prisoner capture mission targeting an enemy-held naval river base. Inserted by a rubber boat from a Vietnamese Navy junk, the patrol reached shore and advanced on foot toward the objective. Without warning, they were met by heavy fire from a numerically superior enemy force. During a 4-hour firefight, the team called for naval gunfire support from a destroyer, but it had been hit by North Vietnamese shore batteries and couldn't fire.
So imagine for 4 hours with small arms fighting the enemy, right? So he told me about this, and I guess they killed a lot of North Vietnamese, a lot of them.
Nevertheless, the 5-man team fought back, inflicting significant enemy casualties before withdrawing towards the waterline to avoid encirclement. During the withdrawal, Lieutenant Norris was covering their movement when he was struck by enemy fire and presumed dead by a team member who had seen him fall.
Now, you'll see when you probably noticed Lieutenant Norris, his ocular side of his head was basically shattered, and I guess his brain, they could actually see his brain, and they thought it was dead. North Vietnamese, so they left him, not wanting to risk, dragging him out and under fire and die trying to rescue a guy. But listen to what happened.
Learning this, Petty Officer Thornton turned back alone, moving through intense gunfire to reach the lieutenant's last known location. When he got there, he killed 2 enemy soldiers who were about to overrun the position, then lifted Lieutenant Norris, who was unconscious and critically injured, and carried him on his back to the water's edge. As he raced towards the beach, a shell from the cruiser USS Newport News struck to cover their withdrawal. But with the enemy so close, the concussion sent Petty Officer Thornton into the air. After recovering, he picked up Lieutenant Norris and made it to the water's edge. There he inflated Lieutenant Norris's life jacket and entered the water. Petty Officer Thornton also grabbed one of his team members who was hit and couldn't swim and pulled the 2 men out to sea with him. For about 2 hours under constant threat, he treated Lieutenant Norris's wounds as they awaited their pickup. By now, both Navy SEALs were believed to have been killed, so if it wasn't for Petty Officer Thornton firing Lieutenant Norris's AK-47 into the air, they may have never been found. Upon reaching the Newport News, Petty Officer Thornton carried Lieutenant Norris into the operating room, where he wasn't expected to survive. But thanks to Petty Officer Thornton's selfless valor, Lieutenant Norris would recover. For his actions in saving Lieutenant Norris, Petty Officer Michael Thornton was awarded the Medal of Honor. Lieutenant Norris was awarded the Medal of Honor for a rescue mission a few months prior. which made Michael Thornton the only person awarded the Medal of Honor for rescuing another Medal of Honor recipient. Michael Thornton would continue his service in the Navy until 1992, when he retired as a lieutenant. Both men are among the 61 living Medal of Honor recipients.
Pretty cool. So that statue you saw there was a statue that was dedicated to them. And I'm not sure exactly where that's at. I think it might be a Navy SEAL Memorial Park in Little Creek. They had just started building that when I was leaving the SEAL teams. So I think they have that there. Now, what's interesting is Thomas Tommy R. Norris, retired U.S. Navy SEAL Medal of Honor recipient, known for his 1972 rescue of downed American pilots in Vietnam. As of 2026, he is actively involved in Arkansas Republican politics, running for Secretary of State as a far-right outsider supported by allies of Donald Trump. How about that? Still serving. All right. So, wow, it's pretty impressive. Now, let's look at how quickly this war, which I've said for quite some time, this ground war, boots on the ground, how potentially quick it could take place, taking all of Iran. So the first Gulf War, they did 38 days of air operations. And then they launched a ground offensive, which lasted only 100 hours. All right. So in less than 5 days, they basically completely destroyed Iran's. So I get them both confused sometimes. Iraq's army that had basically occupied Kuwait, and they were in the desert, and they basically destroyed them very, very quickly. So Desert Storm also marked a defining moment for Special Operations Forces, Army Special Forces, Navy SEALs, Air Force Special Operations Aviators, and Special Mission Units conducted deep reconnaissance way behind enemy's lines, which I believe is probably ongoing right now. So going in and rescuing the pilot, obviously, deep inside enemy lines, and then recovering the pilot and coming back. So pretty impressive. So they did Scud hunting missions. So that was the big missile that Saddam was shooting into Israel at the time, causing lots of damage. There was no defense against it at the time, so it was pretty dramatic to go in, and these guys were going in and finding them, situated on the ground and destroying them. Pretty crazy. And calling in fire. So combat search and rescue, like we just saw yesterday, and hopefully we'll see another one soon. And other strategic operations that shaped the battlefield before and during the ground assault. All right, so special operators, like I've been saying, are probably already on the ground, have probably along the coastline, taking care of stuff. That's my guess. So then in 2003, the second invasion, this was the actual invasion of Iraq. So of course they, obliterated everything by air power like they're doing right now. So there was a period of time where they're doing the bombing, and then they launched the ground assault, and it took them 26 days for major combat operations. So some of those were, and this was during a time frame where the world didn't want to see it happen. Canada, France, Germany, New Zealand, UN Secretary General Kofi Annan called the invasion illegal, and so it wasn't well received around the world. 3 million people rallied in Rome against it, which was the largest anti-war rally in history. But we went in and kicked their ass anyway. So, the invasion began with an airstrike, and of course, and then the deep state got involved, guys. The deep state is not involved in this war. Now, I think now I say that with a caveat that that doesn't mean they're completely gone, and they're not having an influence. So ultimately, they're not going to win and control this war. Now we've seen Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has fired top Army generals. Why do you think that is? All right. Because they were probably deep staters that were resisting the ground war. Because I think the world, the baddies, basically want this to extend. They were going to do this on some level, and just like the COVID lie, and Trump came in and did Operation Warp Speed, really took them off their plan, and in the long run, basically foiled it. Right, so they were going to completely control us, and if Hillary had gotten in there, there wouldn't have been no stopping. We would be devastated. The human race would be probably down to 500 million now, like they had in the Georgia Guidestones, and we'd be complete slaves to them. So we have managed to stop them, and I think we're managing to stop them again, because they were going to do, and they're planning, and they're already doing, like I talked about in a video yesterday morning. They're already moving towards another lockdown of humanity, and probably on a greater scale than what we saw during COVID. So this is what I think. This is one of the reasons why President Trump came in like he did, and like he's going to do, I believe, to basically completely eliminate Iran, the military of Iran, because it's a deep state military, and free the people, the good people of Iran. And once that's done, there will be no reason for us to be in the Middle East with all these bases, and there will be no reason for us to have our bases in NATO. See how this works? This works really good, right? So there's a lot of people crying over spilled milk, but this is not spilled milk. This is a very concerted and very thought out and strategic operation, in my opinion, right? Because they've seen a lot of these over time, and as you guys know, I've called them out very early on. So the invasion began with an airstrike on the presidential palace in Baghdad on 20 March. The following day, coalition forces launched an incursion into Basra, which is right along the border. And special forces launched amphibious assault from the Persian Gulf to secure Basra and the surrounding petroleum fields. And some of that was SEAL Team 6 guys, and there's a big story behind that, but I don't have time for that. And then one of the major southern areas was occupied during the Battle of Nasiriyah on 23 March. So just 3 days later, they had captured a major southern strong point. Now the 173rd Airborne Brigade was airdropped near the northern city of Kirkuk. I've spent a lot of time up there, where they joined with the Kurdish rebels. So I've worked with the Kurdish quite a bit. Very, very good fighters. They resisted Saddam Hussein for a long time, and George H.W. Bush basically let them out to dry because they were given the idea, the thought, and the assurance from that first Bush administration that he would support them. So they started attacking from the north Saddam Hussein's forces, and he didn't support them. And they got, you might remember where Saddam used chemical weapons on them. And that was one of the reasons why we went into to take down Iraq, because of weapons of mass destruction. And those weapons of mass destruction went over to Syria, right? So, and I know that because I was part of the program to hunt them. And then, once they went across the border, there was nothing we could do. We pointed it out, or I've pointed it out over time. So anyway, so basically So they came from the south, from the north. I remember when I went back to, or went to Iraq in 2003, and I was down in, or yeah, it was 2003, and I was down in the Diwania, which is the southern area. The people there in Diwania, they talked about the Marines that had come through. And I remember talking to this older gentleman, and he couldn't really speak much in English, but he said, Marines. And he goes, thumbs up. And then he goes, Spanish. And he spit. So the Spanish were there. He did, no one liked the Spanish, myself included. And as we see, the Spanish are basically backstabbing us, not letting us use our military bases in Spain. So again, I think that we should just pull out of NATO and pull our bases out of there. All right, so it wasn't long before the Battle of Baghdad. It was 6 days, and it was over. Everything was over. Right. So this is how quickly it could happen in Iran. Right. So we've already proven. And does Iran have an air force? No. Do they have air defenses? Pretty much gone. But they have these little man pads that they were able to use because they were probably watching the air traffic and they knew where they were going to come bomb, and then they were set up in the hills and boop, and one of them, came in and got that. All right, so um, thanks for the super chat, uh, Carol. All right, so that's one of the things that we're going to see potentially a few more you know of these, but now that we know that they do that, we'll probably be a little bit more cognizant of flying around the hills and keeping the our own air defenses, because they have lots of ways they can even man pads. They can send out flares and all kind of crazy stuff. I don't know if they did that. Probably not the A-10, but maybe, I don't know. So maybe it was a type of air man pad that really is advanced, that can penetrate past the flares. Does it get sidetracked or something? I don't know. So we'll figure it out, just like they figured out, how to get lucky and take out a couple of aircraft. So this is the way wars are. You can never, ever know exactly the way things are going to turn out. I've been in combat well over half my life, and I can tell you, you have to go in with a completely open mind and just go with the flow. All right. You have a plan, but that plan, I can tell you, I've been on so many combat missions, and never once did those plans go exactly as we briefed them. Never, right? So, and that's the way everyone that's out in combat has to think. They have to be very, very spry on their toes and ready to react, but have what I call the intuitive awareness, where you have wide angle vision, where I can see. Can you guys like put your hands beside your head and look forward and still see? Can you see that? Can you see that? All right, so that's wide angle vision. So wide angle vision activates your alpha brainwave states, and when you control your breathing, like a lot of pilots know how to do, and a lot of martial artists know how to do, you do very slow belly breathes. Belly breathes. You don't do high in the chest rapid breathing, because it makes you get the tunnel vision, so you're not seeing the peripheral vision, and there's cones and rods in your eyes, so you want to activate the rods, which basically, I think the cones, the rods, I can't remember which one. I haven't taught this in a while, so I have to go back and look at my notes. But anyway, you're activating, I think, the rods, which are on the side of your eyes. The cones, you have mostly cones, that cones in your eyes, yeah. So that the focus light and so forth, and the rods on the sides of your eyes, when those are usually they're activated at night, but you can't activate them during the day by doing the wide angle vision. I live my life in wide angle vision. Right, I never am focused, center focused. I'm always widening a vision now. So I learned that very early on. So it activates that also activates your alpha brainwave state, which is a creative, intuitive side of your consciousness. So that when you get those things that happen in your life that are not normal and not anticipated or not planned, you're able to just work through it and not get all upset and not get all pissy, like I see a lot of people do, even rarely combat vets, because they know how to like just stay calm because they've learned. You get all antsy and you get all upset and you're dead. You're gonna die, right? All the guys over time that I saw that were like that, with the anger and they couldn't focus when shit hit the fan. They usually died in combat, right? It's sad because it's easy to learn this, but if you're not taught correctly, even SEALs, a lot of them didn't know it until I started the hand to hand program. So there all these guys are like that I had to overcome the hard headedness and the alpha male and the analytical, focused and can't work outside their little box. Uh, I I taught so many guys how to go into this wide angle vision, tap into their intuition, and those guys just went on to do like I did, unbelievably amazing things. So all of you can do that as well, right? So this is the way of war. The guys that survive war are usually the guys that tap that aspect, right? So we're going to see we're going to see this get tapped by a lot of people, and probably already being tapped, right? Some have learned it, not all of them. When I was around combat, in initial stages, and I started hearing rounds being fired around me in combat. I got down low, and I remember this one Marine he was a Vietnam vet. I was working with him when I was SEAL Team 6. I was doing some other stuff, and he was just standing there. He was like shaking his head, and I was like, "Oh, I feel embarrassed." So I got back up, and oh yeah, you could. It's way above our heads, cracking way above our heads. So eventually, I would get to the point where I could hear, and this happened when I was in Diwania in Iraq, and they would mortar us. So I could tell they dropped the mortar in the mortar tube, and when it popped, I knew if it was going to be close or not. That's that's crazy. How did I get to that point? Right? The way I got to that point was being all calm and cool in combat situations. I remember watching RPG coming at us from a distance, and I was watching it, and I was like, "It's not going to hit us." And I did. How could I know it was not going to hit us? Coming right at us. It came in. It got stuck in a barbed wire fence and stayed there. I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. I picked that up and knew that. I just completely trusted. And that's the way I was. Of course, there were times where I had hightailed it out of an area because it was hot. Uh, I would, I've been chased by people in armor cars, and shot at and all kind of crazy stuff. But I was always able to, get away from them. So it's it's one of those things that we're going to see. I believe some amazing things are happening. I hope that people that do incredible things, like Tom Norris and Mike Thornton, they get rewarded because it's definitely deserved, right? So I think President Trump will reward those that do well because he's a merit-based guy. So if we see some merit-based action here in the near term and going forward over the next several weeks or so, we'll see people get praised. It's good, but not the way we saw during Osama bin Laden's takedown, right? That was bad. That was bad juju. All right, for the SEAL Team 6 guys, basically they got exposed, and that's not something that normally happens. So uh, I think that Obama, and then the guy that was supposedly part of that, that's the Admiral. God, I should have thought of this before. I should have had it planned out before I started talking about this. So Admiral McCraven. So Admiral McCraven, he was there in charge, and John Brennan, right? So those three right there, um, bad, right? Even Admiral McCraven. So remember, you guys might remember, he went after President Trump and talked shit about him, right? 5 different times talked bad about him, and I was like, I can't believe a Navy SEAL admiral would would be that effed up, right? So, but he was, and I was like, I was stunned. And then he got a $50 million award from Amazon, and they give out awards to certain people. He got $50 million from Bezos, right? And I think that was his reward for talking shit about Trump, right? So again, McCraven talked shit about, or not talk shit, but basically let Obama use that taking down Osama bin Laden, and use the Navy SEALs to make himself look really good. And of course, he went on to get reelected, and it was bad scene, very bad. And I think McCraven allowed him to do that. So there's some problems with Admiral McCraven. So again, why are those top generals getting fired? Because they're like McCraven, baddies, right? So that's and McCraven, all of his SEALs laugh at him because he's the make your bed admiral. So, I don't know if you've seen that video where he says, "Start your day, make sure you make your bed," and we're like, "Are you kidding me?" That's how you're going to be famous, and that's deserved, right? Now there were two guys that did books that were involved in that operation. So it was okay for Obama and McCraven to have the military allow the release of information. So Obama looks good. So there were two Navy SEALs that were on that operation that wrote books, and they went after them, and they took all the millions they earned from those books, right? And basically diss those guys, disinformation them, all kind of crazy stuff, destroy their lives. But they bounced back, and I'm the same way. So the CIA came in and destroyed my life, uh, and tried to kill me. And I was like, "Oh yeah, motherfuckers, I'm coming back. I'm coming back hard." Because when they started to come after me, I was just like, "Okay, I'll just go low key." When I went low key, they tried to kill me, right? So I'm like, I'm coming back. And when I come back, I'm gonna expose all you mofos. All right. So that's what I've been doing for the last several years. Thanks to Trump, because they tried to do it early on. They really, really came down hard on me. But now we're revealing the deep state activities. We're taking down the deep state. More of us that expose this information, the better. All right, guys. Going out to a nice dinner with family, so I'm gonna cut it off here. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration. All right, stay intuitive. That's the only way you stay there. If you get all angry or fearful, you're out of that, right? And like I said, we're all in combat right now, and the guys that weren't in the love vibration, intuitive state, they're gone, right? Okay, we'll talk to you guys soon. Lots of information coming. It's coming so fast and so furious. It's really hard to stay up with it. All right. And we'll see you guys next time.